Welcome to the Locked In Baseball Podcast. I'm William Locke. He is Luis Barranco. It is our 2026 San Diego Fathers team preview and prediction episode. Luis, how you feeling about the Padres this year, man?
I mean, you know what the Padres remind me of? They remind me of that team that you build on like MLB The Show with all like, everybody who was like hot in 2022 or 2021. Like they're like full names. Like the casual knows these names, but say sunny San Diego, as Ron Burgundy would say.
Arguably first team all bad contract. This team, they're $221 million payroll this year, but they have a lot of money tied up in Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr. Again, Tatis is very, very good. I think we'll maybe have some debates on what we think about him. And maybe trade prospects. I don't know. I don't want to bring that up this early in the podcast. Bogaerts, I think we both agree that's a pretty bad deal. Machado, sneaky, but if you look at that deal, it turns up to $39 million starting next season, and he's going to be 34 this year. I don't know. They made the NLCS in 2022, and I feel like it's been mostly disappointment since then.
With this team, I just think like when I look at this team, it's they get so close, but it's just like a lot of these runs have been, I don't want to say lucky, but it's just been like the right matchups. And I kind of feel like they keep running into the buzzsaw that is the Dodgers. And unfortunately that's the case. I mean, it's a really good team, but at the end of the day, I just think it's like past its expiration date. Sometimes I feel like, they'll be a fun team to watch. We'll always watch them because of the names that they have, but I just feel like they're just past their expiration date. Like, what is your goal? And I just hate it in just professional sports when there's teams that are just cool with being mediocre and average. Like the Padres, could they go to the World Series? 100%. How likely is it? Not very much so. And it's just like you're just stuck in this black hole that is like you're good, but you're not good enough. And that's the same thing that is just like I'd rather just be terrible like the A's and just rebuild it from the bottom up, or just be in contention at the top. And that's the problem with the Padres, I feel like.
They're plus 1,600 to win the National League. They're behind the Braves, Cubs, Phillies, Mets, and Dodgers, which I would agree with all of those teams having better odds. They are tied with the Brewers to make the World Series in terms of odds. And I'm sorry, like we're starting out this thing pretty negative on the Padres. I like a lot of these players, but I do think as a team, I don't think they're good enough to make the World Series. And a lot of that is down to pitching. And, when you look at the lineup, and I'll run through it right now, I don't know if there's the star power, but I don't know if there's the depth. So Xander Bogaerts, shortstop, leading off. Center field, Jackson Merrill. Third base, Manny Machado. Right field, Fernando Tatis Jr. Second base, Drake Cronenworth. Left field, Ramon Laureano. First base, Gavin Sheets. DHing, Miguel Andújar. And catching, Freddie Fermin. Their bench is Luis Campusano, Nick Castellanos, who they signed from Philly. They're paying the league minimum for him. Philly's eating most of that contract. And Sung-Mun Song and Bryce Johnson right now they have on the bench. Luis, what's your feeling right now? What's your read on this lineup specifically?
Look, I feel like last year's team, Jackson Merrill was expected to take that jump, really didn't take that jump. Tatis was up and down last year. And a lot of this thing of where the team made their money last year was how good Ramon Laureano was and Gavin Sheets. And I mean, it was just guys you wouldn't expect to be good. And when you look at it, I just feel like this team's just not deep at all. One injury to one of the big three in the sense of Merrill, Machado, or Tatis, and this team's just in deep trouble. And I feel like as much as I'm a big Tatis fan, let's just look at the numbers, man. I'm not trying to start a narrative with Tatis. I mean, I'm a huge Tatis guy, and I think he's a talent. But pre-steroids, the guy was, in his first season he had 317, second season he had 277 and then 282. After the steroids, he went down to 257, 276, and 268. The OBP has dropped. significantly from around the 360s and 380, 379 range to 320, 340, 368, which was last season. I mean, last year you saw some semblance, and OPS has dropped.
Sorry to interrupt. The OPS is the most glaring one when you're looking at these numbers pre and post.
I mean, let's look at it, like 969, 937, 975, and now we're 770, 833, 814. And I mean, look, he's a talent, but at least something, he has to get it together in the sense, like, he is a great defender, which I think the gold glove last year, the platinum glove that he got was debatable. I think that's one of them that we'll debate for a long while. But I mean, it's just like, he went from a top 5 MVP candidate in 2020 and 2021 to a guy who is not even in the top 5. I mean, yes, he finished 8th, but I mean, if the Padres want to be a World Series team and they want to be in contention and be able to make these crazy trades that they make at the deadline, Tatis is going to have to show that he is a superstar. Machado, yes, you're always going to get the defense from him, but I mean, he is aging, and it is something that we have to keep in mind.
And the defense slipped with Machado last year. He was down. His outs above average was -6 at third. I said it earlier. He's going to be 34 this season. He's got a lot left on that deal. With Tatis, I agree completely. Like, if the Padres want to have World Series aspirations this season, they need MVP caliber Tatis. And I'm talking, I don't think he's ever going to get back to the 40 home runs. He hit 42 in 2021. I don't think we're sniffing that, but he needs to be in the 30s. He needs to have an OPS above 850, close to 900. We need to see that version of Tatis while he's also playing platinum glove level right field.
And they also play in tough ballparks. That's the only benefit I will give you, that there is some very tough ballparks to play in. I mean, you can pull up the park factor. I mean, Coors is pretty hitter friendly, but Arizona, San Francisco, and San Diego aren't like the most friendly ballparks to be hitting in, like, for a majority of your season.
27th it was ranked over last season. Over the last 3 seasons, I can update the chart. They are 26th in terms of, so not hitter friendly whatsoever, very pitcher friendly, comparable to Seattle a little bit. Seattle's at 91, San Diego's at 97, and they're tied with the Cubs, Guardians, Giants, Brewers, and Rangers at 97. So very pitcher friendly ballpark. Yeah.
So I mean, that's just my thing with those ballparks, and I mean, it's not great. And so my whole point is, I mean, I just saw that Arizona's 4th in park factor. I wouldn't imagine that Arizona would be such hitter friendly. So I just but yeah, with this team, they need these guys. They need the big boy contracts they need them to perform. And the other thing too is like the pitching. Like who's their number one? I would like to pose you the question. I know there's Michael King, Pivetta, Musgrove coming off a major injury, Randy Vasquez and Germán Márquez. Like, who is their number one? Like, consistent.
I think it'll be King, and that was their main offseason move. They brought King back on. I don't have the deal up, but they brought him back. I think it's King, Pivetta. Musgrove's coming back from Tommy John. Hasn't pitched since 2024 in the wild card series against the Mets. So, I think he said today, he had to start the other day, like we're not going to get 180 to 200 innings from him this season. He's going to be limited. And the key loss to the rotation, is, no Yu Darvish. He's out for the season. Said there was rumors that he was going to retire, but he's refuted those. They brought in Griffin Canning, who tore his Achilles last June as a free agent. So they signed him. They also have Walker Buehler on a minor league deal. So, I think Buehler could play a role for them this season. He's had some weird quotes where, about ABS and everything. Not necessarily a big fan of those, but yeah, that's the glaring weakness of this team, in my opinion, is the rotation. Like, this is a team that's going to have to face the Dodgers, 15 times this season with that rotation?
Dodgers, Arizona, and San Francisco. And I know we talk about San Francisco being a mishmash of pieces, but they have professional hitters in that lineup. It's not an easy lineup. And then Arizona, a fully healthy Arizona is a top third of the MLB in hitting. I mean, Nick Pivetta could factor in. It's just, he was great last year, 2.87 ERA, but again, before that he was a 4 ERA guy. It's just, let's just see what version they get at it. If they get that 2025 version, or do they get the pass? I mean, look, man, when you look at this team, man, it's just I'm reading the roster. It's just a factory of names. Like I said, Alex Verdugo is on here. JP, you remember JP Sears as well?
Yeah.
He was in a couple of the big trades. Marco Gonzalez, Tristan McKenzie. Like, look, if you had
Tristan McKenzie is there. Wow.
Yeah,
Jose Miranda's been killing it in spring training. Sorry to interrupt, but he's hitting like 400.
Tristan McKenzie looked, but I'm just saying, like, I think if you've pitched if you've been a reputable player in the majors, I think you end up in San Diego. Like Tristan McKenzie ending up there. I mean, we want him to work out. I mean, we were big fans of him before it was the lat injury. Everything went left, and I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what this team is. And again, how are you going to be able to get to this bullpen? I mean, I think that's the one thing we haven't really highlighted today is that the strength of the team is the bullpen. But again, what's the point of having an elite bullpen, a top 5 bullpen, or maybe the best bullpen in baseball? Let's just go ahead and say it might be the best bullpen in baseball if you can't get there. Will they be able to produce runs? I'm somewhat confident. Let's just put it that way with this lineup. Yes, I'm somewhat confident that they'll be able to produce runs. Now, will they be able to get to the bullpen? That's a whole other question. I mean, Wandy Peralta is a pretty solid bullpen arm. I mean, we saw him lefty for the Yankees, and he was in San Diego last year. They have Adrian Morejon, who's solid, Jeremiah Estrada, and then obviously Mason Miller. They lost Robert Suarez to Atlanta. And but still, they also got guys like Jason Adam, who should factor in at some point in the season, coming off quad surgery, and maybe Johnny Brito comes in and gives them a couple innings as well. So
yeah, that is the strength. But to your point, like, how many innings are you going to get from the starting pitching? Their starting pitching was 16th in ERA last season. The bullpen was first in ERA. I think this is when Jason Adam comes back, probably the best bullpen in baseball. But you don't want to tax the rotation over the course of, you don't want to tax the bullpen over the course of 162 games. Ideally, you minimize the bullpen usage over the course of the season. Obviously, it doesn't work out like that in the long run, but try to minimize the bullpen as much as you can until hopefully this team makes the playoffs. That's the goal. I think that, the goal of this team, the ceiling this season is probably to make the CS. And look, I love the Dodgers-Padres rivalry, but we've talked about it. Like, the Dodgers own them.
But it's just because the Padres are so thin. I think that's the one thing with this team. It's just like they're one injury away from being in deep doo-doo. And that's the problem. If Tatís, Machado go down, like, what are they stuck with? Or they lose one of the big starters, let's say, God forbid, we lose a Michael King again, who's battled with injury last year and he isn't able to pitch for a good majority of the season, or Nick Pivetta, like, how are they going to be able to get through it? That's their issue. And again, they have names, but the thing is, these names were big and were good. No offense to them, these names were solid years ago. We have to look at what they are in 2026.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. And they're in a huge media market, or not a huge. San Diego's not a huge media market, but they're the only team in that market. They completely own that market. The stadium is sold out like pretty much every game. They kill it with attendance, and this is probably my number one, top of my list ballpark that I want to visit anywhere in the country right now. It just looks beautiful. The fans always pack the place, but they're still little brother. Like the Dodgers' biggest rival, for as much as Padres fans want it to be the Padres, it's still always going to be the Giants. And just because that rivalry dates back to what they had in New York in the early 1900s. But I love the Padres-Dodgers rivalry as a neutral fan. Like, it's been so much fun to watch, but the Padres always come up on the short side.
Yeah, and I do feel like one thing we need to highlight about this team this year is that I kind of feel like every year the Padres have like an ace up their sleeve. Like, they're always willing to make the move and always like a save the season type of trade because they have the capital. This year, the capital isn't the cupboard's bare. Like,
they got nothing. There's nothing left.
So it's just like, if this season goes south, it could be one of those things that we might have to like sacrifice. Like, one of the big guys has to get sacrificed to just refill the cupboard and just start over. And I feel like San Diego, and we've seen like in free agency, and I know it's something that we can talk about more in a future podcast, it's like back in the day when we were growing up in the 2000s, all the players wanted to play on the East Coast. Everybody wanted to be in New York, Boston, and those big markets. Now it's the opposite. They all want to be West. It's, they all want to be West. They don't want to be in the New York markets. So I do feel like, San Diego being maybe if it's so south, you trade one of these guys away and get a lot of prospects back, and you then go into free agency aggressive for some players, and they'll be willing to spend. I mean, AJ Preller is not scared to open the checkbook. We've seen it with Xander Bogaerts. We've seen it with Manny Machado. They'll spend. It's just the fact that we don't know how much money they don't have Dodger money, and the cupboard's bare.
Well, the key point there with the money is the team is up for sale. We don't know who's going to end up. Right now they're in the bidding stage. I think there was a second round of bids proposed the other week. We're recording this on March 5th. The Viore dude I think him and a group made a bid. I think Drew Brees is involved.
I did see that.
Joe Cudda or something like that. He's in all their ads. I don't know if I get a bunch of Viore ads on YouTube, and he's in the ads, which I think is an interesting strategy coming from a marketer. He seems personable. But anyway, I think once they get some clarity on the ownership, then that's when hopefully we'll start to see this team spend a little bit more money in terms of free agents. And it's a really good point you make on the West Coast. It does feel like that is now the destination versus the East Coast. And the Padres really haven't landed any major free agents since Bogaerts.
But it's just they've been handcuffed.
They have been handcuffed, and now there's no farm system. The only guy they have left in the top 100 is Ethan Salas, who's just tanked every single season. The bat's not there. The pitching or the defensive wherewithal as a catcher has been there. But my big kind of hot take, whatever, on the Padres is if this season goes south, I do think there is a world in which the Padres, and this might sound crazy, should think about trading Fernando Tatis because of the point that we've been talking about. They don't have a farm system anymore. It's gone. And you look at all their other stars, Machado, Bogaerts, no one's taking, they're not going to trade Jackson Merrill because he's their young next generation guy. Bogaerts and Machado, no one's taking those deals at this point in their careers. The only deal that people are going to take on the Padres right now that's attractive in terms of star players is Fernando Tatis.
And it comes with an asterisk. You also have to bring up an asterisk. What if Tatis tanks another season? He may not have that value again. He could be, like you said, one of those bad contracts lists, and then you're just stuck with another bad contract. So I kind of do feel if the season goes south and he's playing somewhat solid, I mean, it might be time to cash in because you don't know. That contract can just go and age completely poorly. And You'll reset. There'll be teams that will, think about the past and the potential of that bat. There could be a team, I keep thinking about the Detroit Tigers. Maybe the Detroit Tigers make a play. Maybe you do a Max Clark for Fernando Tatis Jr. trade and it does, and it works out. I mean, it's Kevin McGonigal. One of these teams will take a chance on Tatis just for the fact of the past. But if he's not playing up to par, again, that contract we could be looking at just one of those bad deals again.
Yeah, a 14-year, $338 million deal. He's under contract through 2034. So there's a lot of money left on this thing. He's going to be making – the AAV on it is 24, so it's not too bad, but it kicks up to 36 starting in 2029. But it
could be Devers-like. If they find somebody to take the whole thing and get off of it.
People are saying that the balls might have been juiced when he was in his prime in terms of pre-steroid era or during steroids, I guess.
He might have been juiced.
He was juiced potentially, and he doesn't play in a hitter-friendly ballpark at all. So, all it takes is one team to convince themselves that they can, I'm not going to say fix this guy because he's one of the best players in the game, but can turn the bat around a little bit more than what we've seen over the last couple of seasons, like truly MVP level bat, MVP level numbers. The question is who has the farm system to make said trade, because it would be a mega deal because of the dollars left on this thing. Who?
Have a team. Once in the Bronx, the Yankees. What if Anthony Volpe tanks? He's a guy that would love the aura, and the Yankees and Padres have made trades before for superstars.
Put him at short instead of right.
Yeah.
I know Judge isn't right, but the long-term plan for Judge is DH.
First base.
First base.
Giancarlo Stanton and prospects.
Stanton's from San Diego, right? Or he's an LA guy, West Coast guy?
SoCal. But it's just like, it makes sense, Yankees don't want to inflate their payroll. Padres need a guy to sell tickets, and they want to stay in contention. Give them some prospects and take Giancarlo back.
Miguel Andújar, Clint Frazier, Tyler Austin.
No.
Rob Refsnyder.
It's going to be Elmer Rodriguez, Spencer Jones, and Jason Dominguez. Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez should get it done. That's the new Clint Frazier, Miguel Andújar trade.
Hey, Elmer Rodriguez is an exciting young arm. It would take a lot to land Tatis. It would be a mega deal. The Yankees don't have the prospect capital to make that deal.
You don't think so?
You know who does?
Who?
Milwaukee.
No, Milwaukee wouldn't do it. That's so anti-Milwaukee. He doesn't fit.
I know it is very anti-Milwaukee,
he fits the Yankees. I'm telling you.
100%. He's the guy that needs to be playing in a big market with the spotlight on him. He's a big-time player. 100%.
Yeah, he fits.
It would feel weird, like you mentioned Detroit. It would feel weird him going to Detroit. But they are more willing to spend than other teams in the Central divisions. What about the Cubs?
Dax Kilby. Just do Dax Kilby, Elmer Rodriguez, Ben Hess, Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham.
Just name the prospects.
Yeah, just do it. But William, what's the we're kind of getting off
83.5.
And they went 90 and 72?
Yeah. They had a lot of injuries last year. Bogaerts, Merrill struggled with injury.
I'll take the over. I do feel like they're not an 81 and 81 team. I think this team is better than 83 wins. I think they're like an 85, 87 win team right now. Pitching will be tough. But, hey, Craig Stammen was hired as their manager. Yep. And so he is a guy with knowledge about pitching. And I don't know if it was that great of a relationship in last year with the managerial aspect. I think it was Mike Shildt, right?
Yeah, Shildt.
And so, it was kind of out of left field about how he got he was let go.
Same thing happened to him in St. Louis, so I think the vibes there were kind of off. And there had been rumblings for a while about him. 83.5 feels pretty low for this team. There is a lot of talent. So, I mean, I was under on Cincy. I was under on Milwaukee. So I'll take the over, slight over. 83. I'm gonna go under. Actually, sorry, I just changed my pick mid decision. It's a perfect line. I wouldn't bet this. I don't have a strong feeling either way. Yes, you mentioned Stammen. He's the only former pitcher who is a current manager. He was in the Padres pen from 2017 to 2022. He was in the organization as an assistant to MLB coaching staff baseball operations department, whatever that is, in San Diego. It was a pretty surprising hire when it happened. And we also have to mention that AJ Preller was on a contract year heading into the season, but they did extend him through 2028. So he'll be there. New ownership should be coming soon, which I think is going to help a lot of things in San Diego, which will be really interesting once this new ownership comes in. What do they do with all these contracts on the books? Something to think about.
We'll see what happens.
Anything else on San Diego? All righty. We're both I'm under, you're over. Next up is Houston. So another interesting team, another West Coast or Western Division team. So we'll be back tomorrow with that one. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.